You're listening to the Neighborhood Bulldog, where the porch light's always on and the maroon runs deep. I'm Scott Nabors, and this is your home for real Mississippi State sports talk. Around here, we don't chase headlines. We break down the wins, the losses, the culture, and what it really means to be a Bulldog. If it matters in Starkville, it matters here. So pull up a chair, grab a drink, and welcome to the neighborhood. Hail State. Welcome to a new episode of the Neighborhood Bulldog. Sorry it has been a little while, but things have been crazy busy in personal life and work life. So, what a weekend to recap as we get back on a normal schedule here with you as you're listening on a Tuesday morning. Mississippi State sweeps the LSU Tigers over this past weekend. While Mississippi State and baseball sweeping LSU is going to be the big storyline, softball grabbing a series win versus the LSU Tigers as well, much needed for the Lady Bulldogs over there on the softball field. But back to baseball, Mississippi State swept LSU in baseball for the first time in 40 years. Mississippi State has not swept LSU since 1985. We all remember that Will Clark, Rafael Palmeiro team, 1985, probably one of the best teams in our school's history and in the sports history, one of the best teams that never won a national title that should have. From 1985 until April 26th, 2026, Mississippi State finally sweeps the LSU Tigers once again. Mississippi State now sitting at a 34-10 overall record, 13-8 in conference play now. You remember before Mississippi State played Georgia, Mississippi State was tied for first with Georgia and Texas. After getting swept by Georgia and swept by Tennessee, Mississippi State was in like a 8-way tie for fifth place. And right now they are back up to fourth place in sole possession, one loss behind Texas with the same number of wins as we get ready to play Texas this upcoming weekend. Going to be a huge, huge series out there in Austin. Another weird fact about this season so far, with the sweep of LSU, Mississippi State has now had 6 straight weeks with a sweep. We swept Vanderbilt, swept Ole Miss on the road, and then we get swept by Georgia and Tennessee here at home, and then we go on the road to sweep South Carolina, and now we have swept LSU. I don't think a team has ever had 6 sweeps, regardless of whether they were on the winning or the losing side. I don't think that has ever happened 6 straight weeks in a baseball season. So, absolutely a huge deal for the Mississippi State Bulldogs this weekend, getting that sweep. I mean, it cannot be overstated how important not only winning the series was. It's kind of one of those things where, okay, this is a must-win series. Well, then you win the series on Friday and Saturday, and then now Sunday becomes the most important game. Number one, you don't get a chance that often to sweep the LSU Tigers in baseball. So when you get that chance, you have to take it. I mean, you just have to take it. So the Bulldogs did exactly what they had to do after getting swept at home twice. You have effectively erased those 2 sweeps at home by sweeping South Carolina and now LSU. Now you shift your attention to the rest of the season where you have 1 game on your schedule remaining that is outside the top 11 in RPI. Every other team other than Nicholls State has an RPI within the top 11 teams in the country. So Mississippi State right now, after getting the sweep, sits at number 15, and that's going to be Nicholls State with an RPI of 112, the only team outside the top 11 there. So now the season gets even more real. I mean, it is insane to think about. But Mississippi State, if they can not get swept and if they can win the Auburn series, maybe grab a win out at Texas and at Texas A&M, if you can come up with those wins on the road, even just winning one, you are really making a name for yourself and solidifying not only a hosting spot, but a national seed spot. So let's get into how this weekend happened. Mississippi State sweeping LSU, starting with a Friday night game that moved up to 3 p.m. because of weather, but ultimately the weather didn't hold off because this game took forever to play. Just absolutely forever. Jay Johnson, the human rain delay, really showed off this weekend his ability to slow things down for absolutely no purpose whatsoever. But really weird weekend. Mississippi State starts every game of the weekend down in the first inning, had to come back multiple times in every game this weekend, and somehow got the sweep. In years past, I would have told you there is no chance that Mississippi State comes back and beats LSU in games that were this weird. But Brian Haydad said it best. This was the exact inverse of what LSU usually does to Mississippi State, and it felt so good to give them a taste of their own medicine finally. So, getting into Friday night's game, we start with Tomas Valinkas on the mound, and we talked about at South Carolina, the starting pitching was the best it's ever been. All three guys were just absolutely elite. Well, this weekend, the starting pitching was absolutely awful. It was terrible, but it was the bullpen that came through and held things down in all three of these games. Absolutely monumental performance for the bullpen. And if this is the bullpen performance we continue to get, Mississippi State is going to go very deep in the postseason. But starts things off in the first inning. Mississippi State down 3-0, just like that. You get down in the bottom of the first, and you get a Blake Beavis 2 RBI homer to make it 3-2. Cerna Jr., a fantastic weekend for that LSU Tiger there. He gets him a home run to make it 4-2. Ace Reese coming right back in the bottom of the third with a home run to make it 4-3. And then we kind of get it blown open a little bit. Derek Curiel reaches on a fielding error by our shortstop. They end up scoring a run on the error, make it 5-3. Stephen Milam, another guy who has just been so consistent for LSU, gets a single up the middle, 2 RBI single there, and had a throwing error by the center fielder. They break that open and end up taking a 7-3 lead in the fourth inning. In the bottom of the fourth, again, we just went back and forth the entire time, trading punches here. LSU's up 7-3 as we enter the fourth. Garrick Fry gets an RBI single to make it 7-4. In the fifth, we get a Noah Sullivan solo home run to make it 7-5. In the sixth inning, we get a hit by pitch that ends up scoring Ryder Woodson. So now it is 7-6. And also in the sixth inning, we get a Blake Beavis sacrifice fly to score Kevin Maluski, making it 7-7. And you felt like, boy, if we could just get back and tie this game, that is really going to do us wonders. Well, what do? We tie the game 7-7, and then in the top of the ninth inning, LSU gets an RBI single to right field to take an 8-7 lead. And at this point, I thought, oh my goodness, we came all the way back and now we're going to blow it. I had no thought that we would win at that point. We get into the bottom of the ninth, Ryder Woodson comes up. We got a 0-2 count with 2 outs on Ryder Woodson, and he barrels a line drive ground ball in the hole. Stephen Milam can't come up with it, bounces over his shoulder to tie the game 8-8. A huge swing by Ryder Woodson, who struggled. He struggled bad in this game, but he comes up with the big hit there down to our last strike to tie it 8-8. And then in the bottom of the 11th inning, Mr. Kevin Milewski with an absolute laser of a walk-off 2-run home run with Bryce Chance scoring and Kevin Milewski scoring there to grab the win on a walk-off home run, 10-8. Notables for Mississippi State in this game, we had Noah Sullivan 2 for 5 with 2 RBI. Blake Beavis came on against South Carolina and just continues to swing the hot bat. 2 for 3, 3 RBIs, 1 run scored. And then we had Bryce Chance, 2 for 6, 2 runs scored. And then, of course, Kevin Milewski gets that home run, the 1 for 5. Ryder Woodson's only hit was that 2-strike game time hit there. Had home runs from Ace Reese, Noah Sullivan, Blake Beavis, and, of course, Milewski there. Just showing the power this weekend. Mississippi State hit, I think, 8 home runs on the weekend and just absolutely dominated when we had to. Time and time again throughout the weekend, Mississippi State was down. When you had to have a hit, Mississippi State got the hit. But again, the story of the weekend, besides the comebacks, is going to be the bullpen. Tomas Valinkis goes 3.2 innings, 8 hits, 7 runs, but because of the errors, only 3 of those runs were earned. 1 hit, 4 strikeouts. 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. He's followed up by Maddox Miller, 1.2 innings, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, no strikeouts. 2 strikeouts. Chris Billingsley comes in for 0.2 of an inning. Ben Davis, 2.2 innings. He comes in, gives up an earned run, but has 5 Ks to 1 walk there. Maddox Webb, 1.1 innings, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Dane Burns, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk in 1 inning pitched. After Tomas Valinkis gave up the 7 runs, and again, only 3 earned, LSU scored only 1 other run across 5 relief pitchers. Absolute masterclass. Dane Burns actually got the win in this one. Zach Cowan taking the loss for the LSU Tigers there. But again, just an absolute war of a game on a Friday night. That is what you expect on a Friday night in the SEC, and Mississippi State pulled it off. Now you feel like, okay, thank goodness we got the monkey off our back, because I know when State was down 7-3 in this game, most people are thinking, gosh, here we go again, right? We are at home. We've got a big crowd, Super Bulldog weekend. Surely this is not happening again. Well, we go into Saturday. We got the Starkville Derby, the Wiener Dog Race. We've got softball playing. We've got concerts. Massive, massive crowd for this game that people thought would likely break the record, the all-time record for attendance, and it sure looked likely that it was going to be broken. And what happens? The exact same thing happened Friday night, happened Saturday night. Mississippi State starts the game going down 3-0 after the top of the first inning. And they do that off of a Cerna Jr. double and an Aaron Beatty home run. So 3-0 as we go into the bottom of the first once again. But in the bottom of the first, Ace Reese gets a home run to make it 3-1. Then we stay 3-1 until the bottom of the fourth, when Aiden Till gets an RBI double to right center to score Blake Beavis. That becomes 3-2. And then the fifth inning is when things really got out of hand for Mississippi State. Aaron Beatty doubled down the third base line for an RBI, 4-2. And then Yamin, the fourth, homered to right field for a 3 RBI, 3-run home run And now it is 7-2 in the fifth inning, and you're thinking, do we have it in us again? Can Mississippi State pull off what was already magical the night before? Surely they can't do it again, right? Well, you're down 7-2. You go to the bottom of the seventh. You get a Blake Beavis walk with the bases loaded. That walks in a run, make it 7-3. And then Jacob M.F. Parker, the freshman from Purvis, Mississippi, on national television, ESPN2, prime time, 15,289 people in the stadium, comes up to the plate. And before this, the message board was going wild. Twitter was going wild because people, including myself, were sitting there watching this game on TV, and it was a snoozer. You've got that many people in the stadium, but really felt like there was no home field advantage whatsoever. Just people partying, eating food, hanging out. Not really any intimidation factor there. But when LSU started walking some guys in the seventh, and the crowd realizes, oh man, we could do this. We had bases loaded, nobody out. It got so unbelievably loud. Even on TV, I was out of town. I wish I could have been there. But even on TV, it was hard to hear the announcers sometimes. And I've heard the radio call, which Neil Price did a fantastic job. You could barely hear him. It sounded like a football game to me at Duty Noble Field, especially with Jacob Parker coming in, stepping in to bat. It's a left-on-left matchup. Brian O'Connor stated he thought that he would leave Parker in because he knew he could run one out of here. And my goodness, bases loaded, and you're thinking, could he do it? Boy, this would be awesome if he could hit a grand slam here. And on a 2-0 count, you get a hanging slider that he absolutely smashes into the student section in right field. The place goes nuts immediately. You talk about crowd pops when guys hit a home run in the World Series or score a touchdown in a playoff game to win it. This crowd pop when Jacob Parker hit that grand slam is one of the best I have ever heard in any sport. And that hit by Jacob Parker to tie the game 7-7 in the seventh inning when you thought State was down and out of it again will be remembered up there with Burke Masters' grand slam, with Kellum Clark's home run in the national championship, with Will Bednar's 19 strikeout performance versus Texas in Omaha. That swing, albeit a regular season game, had to happen. It had to happen. Mississippi State could not lose this game right here. And Jacob Parker, with the swing of a lifetime. I still remember in 2013 sitting in my dorm room watching the Boston Red Sox play, and you had David Ortiz at the plate for the Red Sox, and they're down. I think a grand slam would have tied it or given the lead by one run, and you had to have it. You just had to have it, or you're losing. And David Ortiz hits a grand slam, and I can close my eyes and remember it like it was yesterday. And I will always remember this grand slam by Jacob Parker, and I think most State fans feel the same way. So bottom of the seventh, a grand slam from Jacob Parker to make it 7-7. Noah Sullivan in the eighth gets him a single to center field, and he ends up scoring Gatlin Sanders on a throwing error. We take the lead 8-7, our first lead of the ball game in the bottom of the eighth. And then Blake Beavis gets a little jam shot right down the third base line. You know that they are coming to throw Garrick Fry out at the plate, and the third baseman bobbles the ball, and Mississippi State goes up 9-7. And again, the crowd pop on that when he bobbles the ball, absolutely insane. Just absolute chaos and madness. And that run matters a whole lot because what happened in the top of the ninth, Cerna Jr. again killed us all weekend. hits a solo home run to make it 9-8, and then ultimately Mississippi State is able to pull that one out. Notables again, Ace Reese, a really, really big weekend from the superstar there. Had to have it. He's been in a pretty bad slump lately. He breaks out of that slump going 2 for 4 with 2 runs and an RBI. You had Jacob Parker, of course, with the big swing, um, going 1 for 5 with the 1 run and the 4 RBIs there. Reed Stallman had a key double on a pinch hit there, going 1 for 1. Home runs in this one again, Jacob Parker, Ace Reese. I think Ace hit a home run in every game this weekend. On the mound, you had Duke Stone starting. Again, they tagged him early and often. 4.2 innings, 7 hits, 7 runs, all earned, 3 walks and 3 Ks, including a wild pitch there. And then the freshman Jack Bauer coming in on national TV, could not give up a run, and he knew it, and he pitched like it. He absolutely dominated. He did give up the 1 run, but had 3 hits, the 1 run, no walks. He didn't give up freebies, and 8 Ks with just some absolutely disgusting movement on some of the sliders that he threw. He is going to be an absolute dog on the mound. And again, Maddox Webb coming in, 2/10 of an inning, 1 hit, finishes it out there. Jack Bauer gets the win. Maddox Webb gets the save, and Mississippi State grabs that series win from the LSU Tigers. Now, when I was coaching, I had a really good coach, one of my good friends, Lane Burroughs. One of his things that he would always say, and I didn't understand it for a while, but then it started to make sense to me. Championships are won on Sundays. And why do you think Lane Burroughs says the championships are won on Sundays? The way he puts it, championships are won on Sundays because you're either trying to win a series, you're trying to keep from getting swept, or you're going for a sweep. And he's absolutely right. Like I said, you end up winning the series on Friday, Saturday. So the next important game is the next game. The most important game is the next game. And that was the case as we go into Sunday here, because you knew what kind of opportunity was in front of you if you're Mississippi State. So again, like clockwork, Mississippi State down 3-0 as you go to the bottom of the first inning. Had an Aaron Beatty really small home run, barely scraped over the Ackerson Plaza there, right under the right field foul pole, it looked like to me on TV. But 3-run home run. We're down 3-0. You come back in the second inning, and what happens? Ace Reese gets him a 3-run home run to make it 3-3. Then you get a Stephen Milam home run, a 2-run homer in the third for them to go up 5-3. And then in the fifth, you get a Noah Sullivan RBI double, 5-4. You get a Jacob Parker ground out to second, RBI ground out, 5-5. And then in the sixth, you get Braun triples to right center, RBI, 6-5 LSU. In the sixth again, Cerna Jr., another 2-run home run, and they're up 8-5. And you're thinking, holy cow, how is this happening? Well, they're up 8-5 going into the bottom of the sixth. And what happens? Garrick Fry ends up hitting a ball to the pitcher. He bobbles it or knocks it down, picks it up, makes a bad throw to first base, throws the ball away. End up getting a run there, 8-7. Then you get an Ace Reese RBI double on a 3-2 count, 8-8. Game's tied. Still in the sixth inning, you get a Blake Beavis fielder's choice. And again, RBI there to make it 9-8 Mississippi State. And at this point, you feel like, yeah, there's no way LSU's coming back. They have nothing left. So Mississippi State grabbing the lead there in the sixth, I think, was extremely important. In the seventh, you get a Noah Sullivan RBI double, make it 10-8. Blake Beavis RBI single, make it 11-8. Aiden Till with an absolute smash to the longest part of the ball field on a 3-1 count in the eighth, makes it 12-8. And then Garrick Fry gets an RBI double to score Kevin Maluski to make it 13-8 there in the eighth inning. And Mississippi State pulls out the improbable sweep of the LSU Tigers. In this Sunday game, you had Ace Reese go 2 for 5 with 3 runs and 4 RBIs. Noah Sullivan 3 for 6, 2 runs and 2 RBIs. Jacob Parker 2 for 4. Bryce Chance 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Just an absolute masterclass of resiliency, toughness, and determination. Again, massive home runs when you had to have them. We had Charlie Foster on the mound for this one. Again, not a good start. 2 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 2 Ks. He's followed by Billingsley, who gives up 2 runs. Jack Gleason comes in and shuts it down. 2.1 innings, gives up a run, has 2 walks and 4 Ks. Dane Burns comes in, shuts it down a little bit. Peyton Fowler, Ben Davis, Maddox Webb all does their part. Peyton Fowler actually gets the win in this one, his first of the year. But Mississippi State grabs that sweep of the LSU Tigers. Now let's talk about the LSU Tigers for a second, because there are a lot of LSU fans that love to throw out that 7 national title number, and that's great. I really wish Mississippi State had 7 national titles. I think if Gene Morgan does not get hurt, I think that was 85, and Mississippi State is able to win that one, I think Mississippi State would have 7, 8 national titles. But that's not the way the cookie crumbled there. But here's the thing about this Mississippi State LSU baseball series rivalry. This is a baseball rivalry. And LSU fans love to think, well, it's only a rival if you win. Yeah, Mississippi State's been doing a lot of winning lately in this LSU series, guys. Not only has Mississippi State won quite a bit lately, they're 6-4 in the last 10 matchups. Mississippi State is. You have, obviously, we just swept. You have Mississippi State has the all-time record, 222 to 197. Now, we hold a 119-77 record at Duty Noble, 89 and 103 on the road. Alex Box is a hard place to play. We know that. But not only that, you have the Jay Johnson years for Mississippi State. Mississippi State has won 3 of the last 4 series against LSU. 3 of the last 4 series. We have gotten the first 2 home series wins in 20 years and the first sweep in 40. And we've won 3 of 5 against Jay Johnson. So we've won 3 of the last 4 and 3 of 5 total. So Mississippi State, by the numbers, owns LSU in baseball. That's a fact. Yes, LSU has more national titles. Is LSU going to win another national title before Mississippi State does? I don't know. They have an insanely loaded roster of very young talent, and I can easily see it. They will win another national title very soon. So if you're an LSU fan, you're not going through anything right now that us Mississippi State fans didn't go through. You won 2 out of the last 3 national championships. Look what happened to Mississippi State. You're sitting here going, oh my God, what's happening this season is unprecedented. It's so bad. Yeah, we've been there. So have other teams. Mississippi State won the national title in 2021. That was the monkey that we could not get off our back for the entire history of our program. And we win it, and what should have catapulted us to 3 or 4 more national titles, we had almost the entire roster coming back, and we just absolutely get destroyed for 3 straight seasons before we finally seemingly get back right this season. That was 2021. This is 2026. It took a while, guys. It takes a while. And LSU is having the same thing happen to them that happened to Mississippi State in 2022. What happens that year? Ole Miss wins the national championship. What happened the very next year to Ole Miss? Dead last in the SEC. What happened to Mississippi State the year after? Dead last in the SEC. It happens. And LSU is going through the growing pains right now. But you can look at the roster, you can look at the talent, and you can see that it's there and it matters. But don't start saying things that are not factual. Let's deal in facts here and let's talk in facts as much as possible. And when you talk in facts and numbers, I love numbers because numbers don't care one bit about how you feel. They don't care about your opinion. Numbers tell the story and they don't lie. Mississippi State holds the all-time series record over LSU. And even broke it down under Jay Johnson for you. And people love to go, well, since this year, LSU's record versus Mississippi, I don't care. If you have to break it down and say by this year, we're actually, but no one's going to take you seriously. You either have the all-time record or you don't. Everybody, I mean, Ole Miss has the all-time record against Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. Nobody cares. Why does nobody care? Because everyone knows that Ole Miss did all of that in the 50s under Johnny Vaught of Vaught Hemingway Stadium when none of us were even alive. But let's look at it in the last however many years. And yeah, Lane Kiffin beat the crap out of us. Dan Mullen was the best coach that we've ever had in the Egg Bowl. Outside of that 10 years, it's not very pretty. So let's not play the whole, well, in the last 10 years, we actually hope. No. You're 222 and 197. Mississippi State owns LSU in baseball. I said it, I stand by it, and that's the truth. Now, after Mississippi State gets the sweep, the big time game, the Governor's Cup, is tonight as you are listening on a Tuesday morning here. And the schedule for Mississippi State says that it is on SEC Network Plus. They have put it on SEC Network Plus before, but I don't know if it will actually be on there this time. It's going to have to be a wait and see kind of thing. But boy, you talk about a turnaround. The season Ole Miss has pulled off since getting swept at home by Mississippi State. When Mississippi State swept them at home, it should have put Ole Miss down and out. And what have they done? They have completely turned things around there in Oxford. And they are now sitting at a number 17 record. Mississippi State is sitting here at, what are we? I think we were number 15 today when the rankings came out. I think we were closer to 10. Nevertheless, this Governor's Cup on Tuesday night is a top 20 matchup. And it's not often that this game is featuring both ranked teams. 6 p.m., Trustmark Park in Pearl, the home of the Mississippi Mud Monsters. This is a rivalry game. It is the Governor's Cup, but it is not a conference game. It does not count in the conference record. However, what it does count against is your RPI. And Ole Miss is right there with the best of them in the RPI rankings. So we will see what happens tonight. We've got Brendan Sweeney on the mound. It will be interesting to see. But going into this game, Mississippi State owns the all-time series lead, 271 to 213. And then in the Governor's Cup, since it started being played at Trustmark Park in 2007, Mississippi State holds an 11-6 record over Ole Miss in that game. And Mississippi State also holds the 24-20 record against Ole Miss in the Mayor's Trophy / Governor's Cup non-conference series that dates back to 1980. So Mississippi State's going to be starting Brendan Sweeney, who has no wins, no losses, 6.4 ERA, 17 strikeouts and 5 walks. He's got 15 in the third innings. He's made 11 appearances this season. His best outing was probably 2 shutout innings against Vanderbilt. Beyond that, he pitched really well against Hofstra and Delaware, but it's Hofstra and Delaware, guys. Come on. Mississippi State's going with Brendan Sweeney. Ole Miss is going to start the junior Owen Kelly. He's 2-1 with a 3.04 ERA, 24 strikeouts to 9 walks, 23 2/3 innings over 12 appearances and 5 starts. In SEC action, he's been tagged. He has been hit hard with SEC play, giving up 4 runs on 4 hits in 1 inning, and he's only had 2 SEC appearances. So we could see the offense come to life in this game for both teams. This does not have the makings of being a pitcher's duel. This has all the makings of being a who can score more runs the fastest kind of game. So we will see what Mississippi State can do in the Governor's Cup versus the Ole Miss Rebels in Pearl tonight as you're listening on a Tuesday night, 6 p.m. I hope it's being streamed, but we'll see about that. And then Mississippi State goes into the weekend at the Texas Longhorns, number 4 team in the country, for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday set. That Sunday game, 1 p.m., actually going to be airing on ESPN. That's going to be a phenomenal matchup there before we come home to face Nicholls State and Auburn the following weekend. Finishing out the season in Bryan, College Station against Texas A&M. Texas A&M has been masterful this entire season in SEC play. Like I said, if Mississippi State can grab this Governor's Cup win, that just helps your RPI even more. And then as long as you can win at least 1 game in Austin and 1 in College Station and win this series against Auburn at home in between those, you will be hosting and you will be a national seed. If Mississippi State can somehow sweep Auburn and grab a series win at either Texas or Texas A&M, my goodness, you're talking about a very impressive first SEC season for Brian O'Connor and the Bulldogs. After that, we will go into the SEC tournament, and then likely we'll know whether you're a national seed or a host. But if what I just stated happens, Mississippi State will be both of those things, and it will be a lock at that point. So we'll see what happens tonight in the Governor's Cup. I hope the Bulldogs pull it out. And we'll be back with you to recap and preview the Texas series later on this week as we get kind of back on a normal schedule, assuming everything stays calm. Things are a little sporadic right now, but thank you for joining us once again. This was a long one, had a lot to recap over a fantastic weekend of Mississippi State baseball. Thank you for joining the neighborhood tonight. Like, subscribe, listen, share, and we will be back with you in a few days. Have a great night. Hail State.